Wholeness means to me being in a state of joy.
Wholeness means feeling complete, owning my authentic gifts.
Wholeness is really connected. Everything is connected to everything.
Wholeness is where we have access to all parts of ourselves.
Welcome to Summer Shorts. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite movies, and it's a really recent favorite movie. It's called Spirited, and it's Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell, Octavia Spencer. Any other big names you can think of in that?
That was about, yeah, that's, I mean, those are the bigger names. Yeah.
Some other characters in there, but and there will be spoilers. So kind of to get to one of the points where I really like it, I think a spoiler is necessary.
Yes.
So, but before I get into why I love it, I just made Michelle watch it for the first time, and it is a Christmas movie, and it's June. But Michelle, what did you think?
I loved it. It's funny. The first, we talked about this in another podcast. And so I thought it was funny how these kind of moved through the relationship between two. But when it was just beginning and I was sitting down and I was going to take some notes because I hadn't seen it before. And it was just funny because the word redemption came into my mind as it was beginning. And it turns out that's really, really a very valuable word for this show, right? Like this is about redemption. And it made me stop and think about that word. I don't know if I use that word very often, what that means to myself, what that means to other people. And so I thought it was interesting, just even the name. I thought it was interesting that it made me think about what the title Spirited meant, you know what I mean? So that's something to talk about a little bit, why was it called Spirited? I think it's like, to me, it was like, there was lots of these spirits there, again, spoiler alert, it's kind of like, it reminded me of a wicked version of Scrooge. It's like Scrooge the story, but we're going to kind of, pivot off of that from
We're
that
going to show
movie.
you a different perspective.
Yeah,
we're
different.
That's
Yeah.
what Wicked did.
Yeah. So it was kind of like this, that's what Spirited did to the story of Scrooge. And I thought they did a great job. I thought it was so creative. I thought it was very telling of the times we're living in. They spoke a lot of truths there.
Yeah.
And so that the word spirited, to me, it was just, it was like what makes us alive even was part of it though, like what gives us life, whether for good or bad. I thought that was interesting. And, I thought it was, just to kind of like let our audience know, yes, there is a Ryan Reynolds crush. Okay. We have two of our movies with Ryan Reynolds in.
It's a huge crush. Yes.
So.
And he can sing and he can dance.
I know.
The whole package
in both these movies, it's like he can be a leading character and be vulnerable. He can be a jerk and still be lovable. Like he's got all the lines, right? He's got all of them. But I loved that it was a musical. Like they really went back. In fact, my husband was like, it's kind of a Bollywood type show in the way that they, big dance scenes, big singing moments. We haven't had movies like that weren't. And I thought it was very brave of these two to put their name into this movie, because it was a risk. It was a risk. Right. But I thought they did well. I thought it was well done so that it kind of, they made fun of themselves a little bit. I mean, it wasn't, they weren't trying to be, Broadway musical type show. But it just made it more endearing. I really liked it and it was entertaining. I really thought it was a great show. I really liked it.
Oh, good. I know, there's those beloved Christmas movies, right? And this one actually will be for me.
I think so for me too.
Yeah. But like I've read before when Will Ferrell did Elf, he wanted to be a little more rude. And Jon Favreau, who directed it, was like, no, this is PG. And so I wonder if Will Ferrell's like, phew, I can swear in a Christmas movie. I don't know.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. And now you have to watch it now because you're listening to this or watching this and you're not going to know what I mean by that, but that's going to make you have to go watch it.
Yes. Someone came into my work, a couple months ago and was like, good afternoon. And I was like, are you trying to be mean? Or are you trying to be nice? And he was like, I don't know what you mean.
Right. It's forever changed. It's
It's
hilarious. It was hilarious. Yeah.
hilarious.
Like pure Will Ferrell. Like, I don't
Oh,
think any other character, any other actor could have done that role or that scene. It was
it's
the best.
true. It
It was
was
the
really
best.
good. It was
Yeah.
really good.
So I think at the beginning of the show, the Ryan Reynolds character, he learns to he's knows how to exploit people, right? He's like that's his job is to like exploit people to get what they want, and it's just so true. It's like he's the trolls, like you get people to hate someone else, and that's how you win, right? Like
That's
that's
exactly the point I wanted to bring up. He's like, if you want your stuff to sell, it's not enough for people to like you. It's that you
mhm.
have to have them hate your opposition more.
Yeah. And I don't know if you caught this, but the reason he gave for that is because for two reasons. He said because people are lazy and they're desperate.
Yeah.
And that's why he says I can do it because they're lazy and they're desperate. And I took a quick note there because I thought that I think what I wanted to say about that is he's in a way he's right, not and but in a different way. I think people believe that about themselves. I think they believe they're lazy. Like I should do this or I should do that. Like I should, right? I used to talk about I'd watch should shows because it was like, hey, here's how you should fold your laundry. Here's how you should do your makeup. Here's how you should set your table. And then next week, here's how you should set your table. And it was a totally different way of doing it. And it was like, I'm trying to learn how to do it right, people. And I had to catch myself and say, those should, because I had this belief, right, that I didn't know how to do it or that I wasn't doing it right. Or, I don't know if it would be lazy or desperate, but it was in that same tone, right? Like I was looking outside of myself for how to show up in the world, you
Wow.
know?
Yeah.
And but I think that's the thing. I think it's because we believe it about ourselves that it's really the problem. I don't think we really are lazy. I don't think we really are desperate. I think human beings are amazing creatures. I really do. But I think if there's a hint at lazy or if there's a hint at desperate, you know, um, then we need to ask a bigger question. And that's what this show why it was the idea of redemption was so powerful in the show because they said that in the show the Ryan Reynolds was beyond repair. Like he was, what was the word they used?
Unredeemable.
Unredeemable, right? Like it was like hopeless. You can't touch this guy. He's done. He's too
Yeah.
mean of a person. Um, and and to ask so what if we asked ourselves, what if I'm not what if I am redeemable no matter what if I'm irredeemable? And again, the first thing they did to get these people to kind of, again, we're talking about the Scrooge story. We're like, okay, we're going to Scrooge somebody else, or we're going to show them the
Yeah.
Christmas present for, past, future, and then they're going to cry and be like, I'll be a good person. That was their job, right?
Right.
That was their goal. And what if so they do go back in time and they do show that that was important, like why did I get here? That was part of the story, like to really dive into what brought them to this place of being who they are. And I think, wouldn't that be interesting if that was really how we viewed people? When somebody cut you off in front of you, you think, what's going on in their lives? Like what if that was the first thing? What if we had enough spirit inside, we were spirited enough, which, we had enough of our own soul and self in place and whole, that was what came to our mind, was like, oh gosh, something's going on there, instead of the like, you idiot, instead of the finger, right?
Well, that's it.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Wow.
redemption. That's redemption. Not just for the other person, but for me. And that's what I loved about the show, because they both needed redemption. Here was this guy for how many hundreds of years had the Will Ferrell been helping people redeem, right? And yet he wondered if he was even redeemable, right?
Yeah.
He wasn't
Still don't know.
sure.
Mm-hmm.
He did not know. So
I love the idea of I don't know what we could say, but like Scrooging people, of like
yeah.
when you have a bad thing, and I've tried to do it a little bit. I think I was trained bless my mom, but it's, oh, they probably did that because they were abused, right?
Right.
But really, the more we learn through therapy and other things, that everyone has these traumas that make them show up the way they do. So really, yeah, you could probably even make that argument for everybody, right?
Right.
But if we scrooge someone to say, like, I bet their past was really hard, and there's a reason that I was a glimpse of that, a piece of glitter in that past, and that's the way they treated me that way, and maybe have that compassion. And I don't know that we have the power to redeem somebody, but in that moment, we could offer a little bit of redemption.
And I think what's important about that story and the way that it was done and the way that it should be done, is they, there was people willing to say, or in his life, there was people that said, you hurt me, like it was, because people have to, like if we're all saying, oh, well, it's their background, like it's their trauma, they shouldn't have anything, that's not going to help either. Like I have to show my pain, and to be like, you did this to me, you know what I mean? It's a both and. I have compassion for the other person, for what they've been through. I can understand it as far as, let's put it in a mathematical equation. Yes, it equals out to this every time. Trauma equals this every time. And my pain is real. What happened to me, what this person did is real. Those don't have to, that doesn't cancel, it doesn't take away the equation.
Doesn't mean I can't feel bad about it.
Right. It can't hurt. I maybe even can't be angry. Maybe I need to be angry for a minute, like if I use that anger in a difficult way, that's not fair. But if someone has, done something to me unjust, anger is going to be a reaction that we have, so it's really about, that's why really getting in tune with your emotions so that we use them as tools rather than them using us, because anger can just come up and, vomit out. But if I know myself, if I'm connected to this inner part of me, this inner spirit, if, to go along with the show, and I know that I am always redeemable, the opposite of unredeemable, redeemed, there is this core part of me that is divine, that is connected to source, whatever you want to call it. If that's always in the equation, then my anger comes out differently, or my frustration comes out differently. And then we have redemption, because then I can say, hey, you hurt me. And the other person could say, let me help you repair it.
Yeah.
So you can't repair something. Yeah. You have to do it together. Yeah. You can't repair if you're just going to say, oh, it's fine. And especially we females, it's okay. Like somebody bumps into us. Oh, sorry. Oh, it's okay. Like, what if, I wish there was a different word to say rather than it's okay, just be like, I forgive you, maybe something like that. Just to kind of change up our own experience with this idea of redemption, because means it's going to do it again and again. Is again, when you add that to the beginning of the word. So we will need redemption over and over again, but it can also be a beautiful thing. At the very end, it was really touching. The movie is very touching.
Well, I liked how at the end, just kind of at the end, there was the line in the song, but it says, but now the line of good and bad is not so clean, and what we are sitting in between. It's an everyday decision, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. But if you try to do what's right, you're on the right track. Sometimes we don't know what the right is, but you're just trying to do what you believe
the
right
best
is
you
the
can.
right thing. And I think for a long time, for me, that there was this invisible spectrum in my mind of where I was, and it was never on the good side. It was always on the bad side, and I was always finding evidence for it, and the evidence was real, because I made it real, and I wasn't very happy. It didn't make me feel very good, and I've had to kind of really change my mind of like, I am inherently good, and I'm going to make mistakes. I'm like, my intent every day is to just try to do good, to do what just do a little bit good. And that was really meaningful to me, because I was like, I'm throwing that spectrum away. It doesn't exist anymore.
Right. I think, when you said that, doing, every day I'm going to do a little bit of good and you will, because you are inherently good. You know what I mean? Like, because when you have that belief, when you really believe in this inherent goodness that you are born with, it's not earned in any way, then just showing up is the good. You know what I mean? Just showing up is the good. We don't have to go far, big and beyond being ourself,
We don't have a checklist.
Yeah, we don't have a checklist. And when we believe that, I think the work is to go to believe that, because when we have that belief centered inside of us, then I think our desire to reach out and do bigger and better things, which again, it was great that this was a Christmas story. Then we have the desire to give, that Christmas spirit, the gift of that season, that's what we naturally move into, that direction, to share joy, to gift people, not just gifts of boxes with ribbon, but like gifts of a smile, gifts of I really appreciate you, gift of good job doing that, gift of I see you, notice the person as you're checking out, really tune in for a minute and think about what their energy says, and then match that energy a little bit with the I see you, like, or like, hey, are you getting off soon? And if they say, oh, I've got so much longer to go, say, I really hope I really hope that your day gets better, or your day goes well. Or if they're going to get off soon, say, I can tell you look a little tired, you look a little tired. I feel for you. Those are moments. And that is redeeming to the person and to, and then to yourself again, right?
Yeah.
Magical.
It's like there's something powerful just kind of on the side of that. When someone says my name,
Yeah.
that I don't know why, it means a lot to me. I just think someone saw me for just a second and they called me by name. And like you said, just that recognition that you're not alone, that you belong, that someone sees you is, I don't know, it can make my whole day. It can turn around my whole day.
It can. But do you feel inside you? I do. I know I do inside me. That vulnerability is really strong. Like, it's my own vulnerability that stops me. You know what I mean? Like, I have to push past that really hard, because like I'm just trying to just stay in my little corner, or depending on the day, but I question that about myself all the time. Why is it so difficult? Because it always wins. Like, it's always a winner. It never fails, right? It's always, there's a great experience when you reach out and have that contact, that spiritual contact with somebody, where it's deeper than just the everyday, here's your money, sign the whatever, when you take that deep step, one step further, which is vulnerable, takes vulnerability, it pays off, it pays off. And in that vulnerability, though, you're saying, I am worthy of this, and you're saying the other person is worthy of this as well. And that was that movie. It was great. Yeah, it'll definitely be something. The Christmas time comes around, I hope, it'll definitely be one I want to watch around Christmas time, because I think it'll be even different having the seasons be, snugly in the basement with, some hot cocoa watching that show. My favorite quote of the show, I have to say, which I think is just, I don't remember exactly what was happening, but I wrote down this quote because I'm like, this is what we're going through, people. This is the society we're living in. It was just like, whatever quote makes you want to push an old lady down the stairs. Like, it's like, yes, we feel that way all the time. Like, life is just, they're this, them, those people, not me, only them, all those kind of words. It's so maddening, it's maddening. And I hope we can stop the madness at some point. And, and so I think the movie, the fact that the story was special, but I think they could get words and ideas through music that was special.
I agree. I was listening to it on my walk and just like grinning from ear to ear, because the music makes me really happy, and I get it. I want my life to be musical. I said that before. Like, I would love nothing more than to express my feelings walking down the street singing a song.
Yeah.
I'm being vulnerable because that's really embarrassing and probably nobody else feels that way. But like, it just is, you're right. Like we talked about in our music episode, that there's a difference when you put those words in a rhythm to music that just hits different.
Yep. Yeah. And that scene where they talk about, hey, we're just trying our best, and there's these two men that are very flawed. Both of them are very flawed.
Yes.
And they're saying this to you. It's very powerful. I think it was a very powerful song, but fun at the same time because it's singing and lots of lights and music, So yeah,
But
definitely.
back to your idea of, or your question of why it was called Spirited. I think that you hit something that if we can have spiritual interactions with people, like that could change how we look at the world. Maybe we wouldn't want to push an old lady down the stairs as much if we had those spiritual.
Exactly. Spiritual
spiritual
meaning it's unseen. It's energetic is another word for it, right? It's this energetic exchange rather than just the mundane, everyday physical parts of how we interact with each other. Make it spiritual. And that's what I thought, because they didn't talk about that very much throughout the movie, that idea of spirited, what that meant. So it put me on a little wonder journey that I love, and just think, I think that is, if we pump up the spiritual, meaning that connection between all, that wholeness, that you can say wholeness that we're in and working toward at the same time. I think that's how we get ourselves. That's how we change our societies. That's just it. That's just it.
Oh my gosh, you made it even more special for me. So thank you. I'm excited to watch it again.
Yep, for sure. For sure.
Are asked what they want, they will answer, I want to be happy. But happy takes practice. And that's what the Wholeness Library is all about. So check it out free at thewholenessnetwork.com.